While the enemy has energy weapons and hovering ships, it is like the Stone Age against an interstellar civilization. Our chances are zero. Just then, surveillance picked up new activity. Several small landing craft detached from the giant ships and sped toward my island. They stopped near the shoreline, and soldiers in white exoskeleton armor stepped out, walking on water as if it were solid ground. Their movements were perfectly synchronized. After landing, they quickly deployed energy turrets on the beach, each one crackling with blue arcs of electricity. But once their deployment was complete, the shell of my fortress was no different from paper in front of them. They didn't even bother to shout commands or demand our surrender. Their actions alone made it clear the countdown had begun. As I watched those cold white figures on the screen, the anger in my heart gradually subsided, replaced by a kind of mad calm. Since you want to collect samples, then I'll give you an unforgettable surprise. I reconnected to Luge's channel. I have a plan. I'm going to turn the tables and use the geothermal energy. Turn this volcano beneath our feet into our weapon. Luge immediately understood what I meant, and his voice grew urgent. That's insane. If the geothermal well overloads, the energy would instantly spiral out of control, like a volcanic eruption. The entire fortress could be torn apart. I asked him to find the threshold that would destroy only the surface without affecting our underground core. Luge began frantically calculating. With half the beach arrays already deployed, Luge finally spoke. He said it was possible, but the risk was extremely high. The margin of error could not exceed 3%, or we would end up buried alive ourselves. So let's begin. Rather than die in humiliation as lab rats, I'd rather drag them down to hell with us. Luge's voice trembled slightly. Suwon, wish us luck. Geothermal energy transfer. Program start. Safety restrictions lifted. Shutdown of cooling pumps 1, 2, and 3 forced. Warning. Core temperature rising rapidly. Warning. Pressure index has exceeded the critical value. The shrill sound of alarms echoed throughout the fortress, and I could feel a faint tremor coming from the ground beneath my feet. It was as if an ancient beast that had slept for 1,000 years was slowly awakening deep within the Earth's core. I stared intently at the external monitors. The soldiers from the Ark on the beach seemed to have noticed something unusual as well. They all stopped what they were doing and looked toward the fortress in confusion. Suddenly, the entire island shook violently. In the next second, all the disguised exhaust vents around the fortress burst open, and a visible wave of white heat surged outward from the fortress in all directions. This was no ordinary steam. It was superheated, ultra-high-pressure vapor infused with the fury of the Earth's core. Wherever it passed, the air was instantly heated to the point of distortion, and the snow on the beach evaporated completely within a second. The Ark soldiers didn't even have time to scream. The white exoskeleton armor they wore began to sizzle painfully the moment it came into contact with the heat wave. The surface coating quickly melted, and the circuits inside sparked. Soldiers were steamed alive inside their sealed armor, collapsing in heaps. The newly deployed energy turrets arced wildly under the extreme heat. Then, with a bang, they exploded into pieces, one after another. The entire island turned into a giant sauna, with thick white steam obscuring everything. Through the thermal imaging lens that was still barely functioning, I saw the surviving landing troops panic and turn back, fleeing in disarray toward the motherships on the sea. Even those dozen or so giant ships fell into chaos.